Paul, first of all, thanks for joining us at Aero-News. We have had an amazing week at the 2010 Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. What a rush.
Well, thank you. What always helps us is when we have good weather, and we've had great weather this week. We've only lost a couple of our evening events to weather, but we've been able to fly every day.
Well, obviously, any event to a certain extent is a culmination of certain high marks and so forth. What are the high water marks for this particular event for you this year?
Well, the safety, more than anything else. To my knowledge, no one has been injured. No one has any kind of scrapes at all. That's always our first and foremost hallmark. And then just the fact that we were able to get the weather that we've had and the fact that everyone has been able to fly.
Now, what kind of year was this for your event from a standpoint of attendance and activity and so forth? Do you have a rough idea of your stats yet?
Actually, our first weekend, it was the largest attendance we've had for at least the last 5 years. Yesterday morning and this morning were two of the larger events than I've ever remember having. Friday morning, we normally have a good crowd because of the Special Shapes Rodeo, but yesterday was a bellwether event. I think a lot of it is because the local public school system had Friday off. It was a nice coincidence that they took a fall break right during Balloon Fiesta.
This is a massive event. I mean, you're dealing with a tremendous amount of people, hundreds of aircraft, all kinds of complexities, individual events, and of course, actually two distinct classes of aircraft when you go from the gas balloons and the America's Challenge race, which thankfully got off about midnight this morning, and then, of course, the rest of the hot air balloon community. How do you do it?
I don't. There's a lot of volunteers and some good staff that are the ones that do all the work. I get to sit back and take the credit.
Freedom through performance. At Cirrus, performance is not simply the measurement of a single design parameter. Rather, it's a total package. It's optimum balance of speed, efficiency, comfort, safety, ease of flight, and quality. We call it Cirrus Flying 2.0. Aren't you ready to feel the freedom?
If you own a Cirrus today, or if you are considering the purchase of a new or used aircraft, consider this. Avidyne, in conjunction with the country's leading Cirrus sales and maintenance facilities, has launched the G3R9 program that combines the purchase of a late-model, low-time Cirrus aircraft and the addition of the Avidyne Integra Release 9 avionics suite for much less than you may have thought, and certainly much less than purchasing a brand new aircraft. G3R9, combining the best airframe, best engine, and best avionics for the best value.
What's the future for this event? I've been coming off and on to this thing since '78, and watched it in a number of locations, the Dust Bowl and so forth and so on. The location here is gorgeous. Is this a semi-permanent solution for you? What's the future?
Well, we hope it is a permanent solution. As you said, you've been to the old balloon fiestas where we were on dirt fields, and everyone about this time of the week would have the balloon fiesta crud, which after breathing all the dust for 8 or 9 days, we were all hacking. But when the city of Albuquerque purchased this park and put the grass in, it was a huge difference. The first year that we had grass on the field, we could always tell the locals from the tourists, because the tourists were taking pictures of all the balloons in the sky and all the locals were taking pictures of the grass. As far as we're concerned, we'd love to be here forever. We have a lease, or our lease extends through the 2012 event, and it's time to start working on a new one.
Now A&N comes from, of course, the standard aviation and aerospace industry, predominantly fixed wing, rotor, so forth and so on, which frankly doesn't know a lot about the lighter than air community. And there just seems to be so many fascinating things here, both from a standpoint of the sport and recreational, the technical, the competitive, and all that. How do you break down the means by which you can communicate to the rest of aviation that you've got something amazing going on here that they really need to check out?
Well, I wish I knew the answer to that. I think talking with you is part of that answer. It's a very simple thing, and the simplicity of it is what drew me to it 30 years ago. It's a simple aviation at its purest form. You pull on the burner and you go up. You pull on the vent line, you come down. And that's really the simplicity of it. Now, like everything else, it's easy to become okay at the sport. It takes a lifetime to master. And that's really, I guess, the message that we'd like to get out to the fixed wing people and everyone else that hasn't tried it yet.
And finally, what might we see here next year?
Well, I can't tell you that. I mean, this is the media. Now, we have lots of things that are tentatively planned for next year. It's our 40th event. So some of the things we're looking at that I can't talk about, that I don't want, it's not a secret, but I just don't want to talk about them until we're pretty sure we're going to be doing them. But try to do a little bit retro. Bring back some of the things that made us what we are. Balloon Fiesta is a competition, but first and foremost, it's about fun and safety. And there were things that we used to do when we were 30 years younger or more, like the toga party, that we've outgrown, but there may be some way to bring some of that, some of the old days back.
Well, first of all, once again, thanks of all. We appreciated all the courtesies given our staff and the access we've had. Our people have had a wonderful time covering the event and flying the event as well. And flat out, as I had told you previously, the best run event we have worked in recent memory, or for as far as I can recall, and that does not happen by accident. Good on you.
Well, thank you very much.